Okay, this is Calamy. This is a video about how to get a group going for pretty much anything, anywhere, especially during peak hours. If it gets real late, it can be a little tough, but it's really helpful. The first thing is the /who command. Let me make sure that's coming through on the video. It is. So the /who command is incredibly useful. It's just a database query /who 60 warrior that gives you a list of up to 50 people. If there's more than 50 people, it will just give you 50 random ones. So there you can see myself. And then you can also limit it down. All right, we want 60 warriors in the wetlands. Well, it's just me and this guy. So that is a very handy tool. If you don't use that a lot, you're missing out. So now the way that you get a group, let's say I was let's say I wanted to run Uldaman. So the first thing you do is you look up on the internet what the level of the boss is. That is the most important thing. You got to know that. And it turns out Arcadis is 48. So my rule is that I will never bring someone who if I really want to finish the dungeon, I will not bring anyone that 48 will be red to them. The way the game works on the calculations, they will do so much less damage. That is a real problem, and the last thing you want is to spend hours clearing this dungeon and then be unable to finish it at the end. Usually mobs that are 5 levels higher are red, so the lowest I would usually bring is 4 levels below, so for Uldaman that would be a 44, and I generally try to keep it within 2 levels because that also is a significant increase in DPS, like seriously about 10% just off the top. So I would try, so if I was running Uldaman, I would try to stay within 46 to 50 would be my real zone. Because if you start going north of level 50, then you start getting the experience penalty. And the problem is that a lot of these zones, like the monsters out in front of Uldaman are level 36, but Arcadis is 48. So that's a dungeon I typically run twice. Once at the low level on the outside, and then once on the high level on the inside. That just takes a lot of game experience. Dead Mines is kind of the same way. Like the mobs on the outside are like level 13. Van Cleef is like 22 or something like that. So the level ranges are just too big for some of these dungeons, which is why they never did it that way again. But anyway, let's say I am a level 48 warrior who wants to run Uldaman. So all I would do, I need a healer. So I just go, and I'm the one doing all the work, so we're going to start early. We're going to do we're going to do 46 to 50 priest. And all I do, okay, Norm, that's pretty light. That's the problem with me recording this at 11:30 at night. Let's, just for the sake of example, we'll just do 36 to 50 priest. Okay, then what I do, I write a message and I keep it extremely short. LF, heals, and I suppose I still need DPS, heals, DPS, Uldaman. That's all they need to say. So what you write in that message is extremely important, and there's 3 rules to get a good response. Rule number 1 is to keep it short, because people respond way better to short messages. Rule number 2 is to keep it short, because you don't have a whole lot to say, and if you do have something to say, you're probably making it too complicated. Rule number 3 is keep it short, and people won't report you. I send out tons of guild whispers. I send out hundreds and hundreds of guild whispers. I very rarely get reported because I keep it short. It should always fit on one line. Always. So you just do LF heals DPS for Uldaman. Okay, hold shift, home, control C. It's now copied to the clipboard. And then all you do, right click, whisper, Control V. Now if I was doing this for real, I would hit enter, but instead I'm going to hit escape. Click, right click, boom, enter. Then you would hit enter. I'm hitting escape. So boom, boom, And you know, and people respond so much better to this than they do. You could spam LFG for hours and no one would respond. You send out these specific whispers and people will join no problem. So that's 10 whispers sent specifically to people that I need in like 10 seconds. So then you do that. The other thing is that you're doing the work, so get people. When I do this, I get people that aren't rolling on gear against me. It's not so bad when you're a warrior, but when I was a priest, let's say I was a priest healing it, I wouldn't search for mages. I would do, I would do hunters because they're not rolling against my gear. So same thing, boom. Okay, so LF, DPS, Ultimate. That's all you got to say. Control C. I would hit enter, but I'm hitting escape. Whisper, Control V, to boom, 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 boom. And also, I highly recommend if they've got an obscene or stupid name, just skip them because you'll have a lot of trouble. But like this guy, this is a good thing. Now that guy's got a name that's a reference to the in-game lore, which usually those players tend to take the game a little more seriously. Athene goddess, like that's also, chances are that's not a kid. So you never, you can kind of, it's funny what you can tell by the names after you've played the game a million years. And then if the hunters don't work out, then you do, if I was still on a priest and didn't want anyone rolling on my cloth, there you go. Rogues, and then druids, and finally, and then if you can't find anybody, finally, then you do the priests and you do the ones that are rolling on your gear. But that is how. Okay, there's a few other things. Don't be too picky. I sometimes in the looking for group channel, I see people making these absurd requirements where they're like, we have to have a mage for Uldaman. No, you don't. There is no dungeon for level. There's no leveling dungeon that you need any specific class for at all, unless for some reason you're doing it really under level, in which case you'd be better off just finding someone who is 4 levels higher. There is nothing in this game for leveling that you would rather have a specific class than someone that was just 4 levels higher. So don't be too picky. The one last thing I would recommend, bring a real reser. Unfortunately, druids cannot res people, and even if someone gets ganked, you get 1 res every 30 minutes, that's it. So if you have a druid healer, make sure you either have a priest or a paladin also in the group as DPS, or you might be in for a real tough time, especially if a lot of these dungeons are really far from the graveyards, and it's like 10, by the time you run back, you get buffed up and everything, it's like 10-15 minutes, and I highly recommend that you stay away from only druids being your resers. But that is how you get a group for pretty much anything at any time.